Hello everyone. Today in this video we're going to discuss the next topic in our book, that is photosynthesis. Now we all have some basic idea about what is photosynthesis or where does this process occurs. We all know it occurs in plants. So let us first look at the definition of photosynthesis. So what is photosynthesis? The process by which green plants use sunlight to synthesize nutrients from carbon dioxide and water and prepare their food in their leaves. This is called photosynthesis. Now photo means what? Light, and synthesis means to combine. Now which light we are discussing about? We are discussing about the sunlight. So now let us look point-wise. Photosynthesis is an example of autotrophic mode of nutrition. In the last class, we have discussed about the different modes of nutrition. That is the autotrophic mode and the heterotrophic mode. Since photosynthesis occurs in plants, so definitely it will be an autotrophic mode of nutrition. Now it is the food making process in plants. Just like we make our food, similarly plants also make their own food. So this food making process is called photosynthesis. Now for making food we need ingredients. So what are the ingredients that is required in this photosynthesis? For making the food, the plants require water, minerals, carbon dioxide, sunlight and chlorophyll. Now photosynthesis not only takes place in the green leaves but even in the other green parts of the plants like the stems or the branches. So I hope these points are very much clear to you. Now moving on. So now we will be discussing how does this process of photosynthesis occurs in plants. We will go step by step what actually happens in a plant, or how does the plant makes the food through the process of photosynthesis. We'll be discussing now. So first of all, water and minerals are absorbed by the roots of the soil. Roots from the soil and transported to the leaves. We all know the roots are inside the soil, and these roots, what they do? They transport water and minerals to the leaves. Now you might be thinking, why to the leaves? Because this whole process of photosynthesis occurs in the leaves. Although we have discussed in the earlier point that it can also occur in the green parts of the plants, but for now we'll be discussing how it mainly occurs in leaves. Leaves are the food factories of the plants. So this water and minerals are absorbed by the roots, and transported to the leaves. Now how are these water and minerals transported? Are they transported directly? No. They are transported via the vessels that run like pipes through the roots, then ultimately towards the... Okay, let me show you the diagram. So you can see here, these are the roots. So what actually happens is that from the roots, the water and the minerals are being absorbed, and through this pipe-like structure, the water and the minerals run through the roots to the stem, and then gradually to the branches, and ultimately to the leaves. So they form a continuous path or passage for the nutrients to reach the leaves. I hope this is clear to you. From the roots, they go to the stem, then from the stem, they go to the branches, and then ultimately to the leaves. where the water and the minerals are required to prepare the food. Now moving on, carbon dioxide. Yes, this is also one of the ingredient. Carbon dioxide is also required. So how this carbon dioxide is taken from the air? They are taken through the tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves. Let me show the diagram. Yes. So this is the leaf. In the leaf, there are many tiny pores, which is not visible through naked eyes, of course, but there are many tiny pores on the surface of the leaves. And these tiny pores are called stomata. And they are being guarded by the guard cells. You can see the diagram of the guard cells, although this diagram is not clear in this video, but you can see in your textbook. Why they are called guard cells? Because you can see this is the cell, or this is the pore actually, not the cell. This is the pore through which the carbon dioxide passes or is taken in by the leaf, because carbon dioxide is also one of the important ingredient. And these cells, you can see on the boundary of the pores, you can see the cell. They act like guards. Why they are called guards? Because whenever the amount of carbon dioxide is required for making this food through the process of photosynthesis, these guard cells open up, and whenever it is not required, they are closed. And generally you can find this stomata on the lower side of the leaf, not on the upper side. On the lower side you will find out the stomata. So now you know what is the function of guard cells. Guard cells generally help in closing and opening of the pores. So they are called guards, just like the guards at the door. Now moving on, the leaves have a green pigment. We all know leaves are generally green in color. Now do you know why it is green in color? It is green in color because of a pigment that is called chlorophyll. This chlorophyll is also one of the ingredient. We have already read it. So this chlorophyll helps to capture the sunlight. And sunlight is also very important for synthesizing, that is preparing the food from carbon dioxide and water. So now you know how all the ingredients are being collected by the plant to make their food. I hope this is very much clear to you all now. Now moving on. Now, what are the products or the outproducts that we get from the photosynthesis? Now let us see. During photosynthesis, chlorophyll containing cells of leaves in the presence of sunlight uses carbon dioxide and water to synthesize carbohydrates. So, in the presence of sunlight, when carbon dioxide and water are being taken by the plant, so what they do? They synthesize or they prepare carbohydrates. Now we all know carbohydrate is a nutrient which is essential. In the earlier classes also we have discussed what are the different nutrients like carbohydrates, fats and all. So plants require carbohydrates. So this carbohydrate, how it is synthesized? In the presence of sunlight by using carbon dioxide and water. Through carbon dioxide and water, by taking in carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight, the leaves, they synthesize carbohydrates. So carbohydrates is an important nutrient. Now, this is the process that actually happens. I have balanced this equation, so don't get confused with the 6. It is just, the 6 is given just to balance the equation. So what is this? This is carbon dioxide and this is water formula H2O. What it gives? It gives a carbohydrate. Now do you know what is the name of this carbohydrate? C6H12O6. This is nothing but this is glucose or starch, which we can say. Glucose, we all know what is glucose. Glucose is very much important. Now, and this is oxygen is also liberated, which we other living organisms require oxygen. So this photosynthesis process is very much very much essential, you can say, not only for the plants but also for the other living beings, because it liberates oxygen, which is the life supporting gas. Now moving on, During the process, oxygen is released, as I already said. So oxygen is very much essential for the survival of other living organisms. So photosynthesis is important for all of us, not only for the plants. Now the carbohydrates ultimately gets converted into starch. As I said, this gets converted into what? Glucose. C6H12O6 is glucose formula. Now the presence of starch in the leaves indicates the occurrence of process of photosynthesis. So there is starch. There is an activity after this. You can see in your textbook how you can detect the presence of starch in the leaves. There is a small iodine test activity you can see. So since there is a presence of starch in the leaves, so we can say that there is the occurrence of photosynthesis. So the starch is also a carbohydrate. So don't get confused with the starch, carbohydrate and all these things, glucose and all. It is almost the same thing. So just to remember that, just to remember this equation, that when carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight, I have not shown here in the presence of sunlight, here in above this there should be sunlight and below this you have to write chlorophyll, because if there is no chlorophyll then the leaves can't get the sunlight. So this chlorophyll helps in taking the sunlight. So the important thing is that carbon dioxide and water in the presence of sunlight, that is taken by chlorophyll, we get this C6H12O6, which is glucose actually, so which you can say as a carbohydrate, and also it liberates oxygen. So this equation is important. Other than that, if you have any other doubts, you can ask me. Also, please, everyone, I request to go through the books properly. Okay, one more thing. There might be a question arising that does photosynthesis only occurs in plants? The answer is that not only in plants, photosynthesis can also be seen in some organisms like algae. You all might have seen algae. You can see those things greenish in color, that is found in the damp areas where there is a lot of water around. So this algae also carries out photosynthesis. So we can say algae's mode of nutrition is also autotrophic. So that's it in this video. Hope you all have understood it, and as I already said, please go through your books and see if there is any doubt. Thank you and have a nice day.